retaliate against some three of our soldiers who came home yesterday. Thankfully, Joe Biden didn't look at his watch as things were unfolding there, as the transition from the airplane to. Well, see those flag draped caskets. Just really, I don't know. Every time I see that, it brings out deep emotions in me. I'm sure you too, everyone that's listening. We're going to, of course, need to talk about what happened yesterday afternoon, as it was reported that 125 missiles were launched onto several strike sites in mostly Syria, I guess also just barely into Iraq in the Anbar province. A lot of criticism coming, too little, too late. Some have said a fireworks show, really no substantive deterrence by that. Dakota Wood will join us at 8:25. 8:25. You'll want to tune in then, because Dakota Wood, being, of course, a Marine, having been involved in the Iraqi action and a strategic guy, for sure, will be able to fill in some blanks on that and give us his assessment of where we stand in what is an increasingly tense Middle East conflict. And there's other stuff going on too. The numbers, the poll numbers, we seem to have disparate poll numbers. Some polls, the Quinnipiac poll, suggesting that this is by no means anything but a neck-and-neck horse race at this point between Joe Biden, Donald Trump. On the other hand, Fox News polls and others saying that, especially in those swing states, it looks like Trump has a bit of a lead. Certainly not a comfortable one. More comfortable with Nikki Haley, until you throw in the third-party candidate. And in a hypothetical race, that's a problem. So that's an interesting bit of fodder for this morning. Big tech hearings this week. Fascinating how this is, what, the fourth or fifth year that Zuck and others have shown up at the conference. And interesting goings on. A lot of good campaign ad material. Not sure things are going to change for the safety of our children. The ugly details of the jobs report. You may have heard the headline about the jobs report. I have some deeper dive that we'll be taking. And the border fiasco continues to unfold. Literally an invasion at this time. This is an invasion. This is not a mass migration. This is an invasion. And there's no other way to put it. Yes, it's not a uniformed army that's invading, but certainly we know that multiple terrorists on the terrorist list have been apprehended, or at least seen. Many probably that we don't know about. Those gotaways, those so-called gotaways. So we have tons to talk about. Larry Behrens will be joining us about energy, our energy future. Yeah, I've read conflicting reports. Oil production at all-time highs in the United States. On the other hand, prices spiking in various areas. I know in mid-Missouri prices spike. Jerome, what's going on with local fuel prices? Have you seen any big spike in the last few days?
Yeah, all of last week it was around $2.50 a gallon where I'm at. Now it's back up to $3 again. Seemingly felt like it was almost overnight. So I'm not 100% sure what's causing that, but it's getting ridiculous again.
Larry Behrens, who you hear here on News Talk STL, will be joining us in the next hour, top of the hour. And Virginia Kruta, of course, who always has multiple topics that she is well-versed on talking and delving into. We'll talk with her about that, including the unfolding events in the Middle East, apparently a multi-tiered retaliation. Is that what the United States does now? Do we wait till we're gut punched and then we retaliate and see if we can knock the other guy at least down? We never seem to knock them out. So she'll join us. Rob Carter from the Rob Carter Show. Newly now Monday through Friday on weeknights here on News Talk STL will be at 8:06. He'll be talking to us as well. So tons to talk about. And of course, your voice welcomed all morning long. 314-912-1019. We know we can catch you as you can catch us on the Facebook feed, the Rumble feed, the YouTube feed, right? I think all three feeds.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the border. The border continues to plague me because I'm troubled how the numbers in the polls can look as close as they are. Let me play clip 4 for you here. This is This is a clip from Massachusetts Governor Patricia Healy and Boston Mayor Wu. Now, remember Boston Mayor Wu, who gave an invitation to staffers that I think was errantly sent out a few weeks ago about a holiday party. There was going to be a non-white. If you're non-white, you're invited to this party. So these clearly mentally deranged people that are invoking racism to cure racism. That's the progressive mantra. That's the first book of their Bible, their religious Bible, on progressivism and the woke Bible. They're touring a struggling community center, like an activity center for youth and others, which has been repurposed as an alien camp. And listen what was said.
Recreational center in Roxbury, now a temporary safety net site with beds, play areas, and other necessities for incoming migrant families that the governor and community leaders toured today.
We're here today because we really don't have a choice.
Excuse me, Governor Healy, you do have a choice. Well, you did have a choice. It's called, you invoked a sanctuary city. Boston invoked a sanctuary city policy that doesn't allow ICE agents to come in, round up these people, and deport them. You also have a choice. You're a part of a movement, a party that endorsed Joe Biden, who has, in a way, made these people legal in many cases by giving them mass parole, which was clearly, by the letter and the law of the statute, designed to only apply on a case-to-case basis. But they've opened the doors through that so that technically you could argue that they're legal. But you were part of it, Ms. Healy, and all of the blue voters that voted with you and for Joe Biden and for your movement. You're part of it. But you can now go back and you can go to the city council and you can say, we are no longer a sanctuary city. We no longer have to, by the way, in Boston, I think in all of Massachusetts, you have to supply, I think it's at Boston particularly, you have to supply shelter. They have a right to shelter. You can go and undo that. You can talk with your buddy there, Mayor Wu, Michelle Wu, and you can say, enough, we're done. Instead, they take away the recreational center that was probably the only organized and structured and disciplined environment in which these children, which often come from horrid environments,
single parent homes where moms may or may not be around to take a look at, to keep an eye on them, drug infested neighborhoods, gangs ruling the streets in those neighborhoods. And this is a way to get some different environment, a better way, if you will, for these people. Instead, the kids are now thrown out of the recreational center, and we've set up what amounts to a hotel for the illegals. They're given money, they're given food, they're given health care, they're given clothing. They're absolutely taken care of. And if this isn't an American travesty as well as an American tragedy, that it was both endorsed and encouraged by a major party that thus far continues to win elections, despite what the populist movement wants. It's an amazing thing. Jerome, can you believe that in this area where kids probably need this rec center more than they would in Chesterfield or O'Fallon or South County, St. Peter's? Can you believe it? This is what they do. They take this away.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous, because I think a lot of studies have shown by now that, playtime and having a safe space for children to be able to explore and have fun is good for their development as well as their socializing skills early on. So basically what we're saying is you can no longer develop as a child. We need this place for people that are not supposed to be here at all anyways. And I've seen people online actually defending a lot of this, saying like they're citing the asylum seekers and refugees clause, saying that they're not coming here illegally, they're coming here as asylum seekers, and that somehow makes it any different or better when we're closing down schools and playgrounds and opening them up so that way we can house these people we don't have the infrastructure for.
Good point. No, you're absolutely right. And the asylum, as I understand it, is meant for people that are under political, personal and physical persecution. This is not about. My wife made a comment the other day, and I think anyone who's looked at the streams, Jerome, you've seen the streams of people. These are able-bodied 20 to 30-year-old men, for the most part, or women in some cases, with their families that have. I'm seeing branded, sweatshirts and T-shirts, and I mean, it doesn't appear as though they're under any kind of persecution. Normally, you think that people are under persecution in their country would be in rags, right? I mean, they'd be just looking squalid, but they don't. These people are just coming for a better life. If that is what our asylum statutes is meant to encourage, well, that's a simple fix too. You're absolutely right. It matters not if the current law is somehow loopholing them in by invitation of Joe Biden. Why not a quick mass movement in the Congress to say we're changing the law? It no longer applies. No, I'm sorry.
And the other key issue I was thinking of the other day is what happens, if they're coming here for a better life, what happens when the better life is no longer available here? Are they all just going to pick up and go to Canada? Or
right. Yeah. And another note on the asylum thing. When Donald Trump had the policy of stay in Mexico, you can apply for asylum all you want. Sorry, we only have 2 judges doing those court cases, so you have to wait your turn. I think that would discourage people. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Hey, it's not as easy as we thought. We don't just walk across the Rio Grande and we're here. Once they're in, I keep using the analogy of termites. Oh, Randy, you sound like a Nazi. That sounds xenophobic. Oh my God. No, I think of termites. There's this thing where they put the termite bait cages outside, or you put I forget what the chemical is, that they flood the outside of your foundation, the dirt all around, the perimeter, so that the termites never come in. They never start getting into the baseboard, the thing that sits on, what is that sits on top of your foundation? And then there's the joist. The header over there. They never get it. Once they get a foothold, you're in trouble. And that's the problem. There is no reason to let these people in. You meet them at the border, you shut the door. Remember that famous scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy's knocking at the door? And the guy from The Wizard of Oz, he's got the green hat on. He opens the door. He looks at, what do you want? And she, we want to meet the wizard. Slam. The door goes slam. That's it. And they're back in the poppy fields, right? That's the image that we need to demand as a population. We need to demand that. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of things that we demand, and our politicians, who in some of the latest polls, like usual, are among the lowest valued people, trusted people. I don't know about value. Well, maybe they go hand in hand. They're the lowest among the lowest group of people in terms of public trust in trusting polls. And there's no wonder. It's because they're not listening to us. They're not even listening to their own on the blue side of the fence. Why aren't blue politicians at the federal level listening to Brandon Johnson of Chicago, Michelle Wu in Boston, Eric Adams in New York? I mean, what's the guy's name out in Denver? 30 or 40,000 of them out there on a per capita basis relative to the size of the town. Denver is probably the most assaulted by this. And I for one say, you know what? You made your bed, sleep in it. Go ahead, sleep with the termites. Bed bugs. You got the bed bugs. Sleep with it. Hope you enjoy all the bites. That's great. And meanwhile, their citizens suffer. Well, maybe their citizens will start making some different choices. When we come back, we'll delve into the social media hearings and ask your opinion about what's the best way forward to protect our children and maybe to protect ourselves from the double-edged sword of social media. More coming up on News Talk STL 1019 94.1, the Randy Tobler Show. With Jerome, I am Randy Tobler. 314-912-1019. Give us a buzz.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
What we saw tonight is America first defeating America last.
There's one man who's proven he can secure the border, and he's standing to my left, Donald J. Trump. He's going to do it again. A Trump nomination is a Biden win and a Kamala Harris presidency.
News, analysis, opinion.
I want to thank everybody.
Yeah, we ought to probably, we can probably riff back to that, and then no, we can bring that up later when we talk about it again. We'll talk.
We all know the healthcare system's broken.
Let's play the Cruz versus Zuckerberg number 5 when we come back.
Hi, it's Dr. Randy.
And then we'll, of
I've
course, go
developed
into the
a
next
better
clip
way
after
that
we
restores old-fashioned
after
values
we discuss
with a
it a bit.
holistic approach to your health care. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting relationship-based healthcare experience.
No, what did I do? It's 156 to something else. I don't know. You can just play it, and then, we'll cut it off when it's time to cut it off. You'll hear it.
Where the focus is on
I'm sorry. I
insurance
don't know why I did that. Maybe 220. It's probably 220.
There's a number of perks, including
the Wall Street
hundreds
Journal.
of free meds, in-office
Probably
ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about health
Yeah,
care
no
the
problem.
way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
Yeah,
That's bodyofhealth.com.
What happened yesterday was we had a lot of clips that were yesterday, and I didn't know how to get them. I don't know how to do that, because I wanted to get them to you by Thursday night, but most of these were earlier in the week, but some of them are relevant now.
Dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric.
When is the best time for you to do that, the clipping?
Home or business. Grasser
Friday
Electric
afternoon?
will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business
Well, what about the
dedicated
ones that
to
come up on
providing
Friday,
consumers
like
with
last
high-quality
evening? I didn't
cannabis
send you
and
anything about the
education. They
attacks
strive
because
to
it
make
was late,
customers
but
feel comfortable.
we probably
and to help
should have
curtail
something
the
about the
stigma of
attack.
cannabis
Unless
use
you can get
by
that
having
on the
a
run and just
professional
play something
and
off the computer.
well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com.
Once you get
That's
into the workflow of it, it shouldn't be that hard.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
I just don't have.
Are you or someone you know
I
providing
know.
or managing
If I had
care
a
for
way
a loved
to,
one today? Did you know there could be more
If I had a way
cost-efficient
to play the
solutions
sound, I
for
could
funding
probably,
long-term care?
do it here.
Even
I
those
just don't.
currently living in
I
a
don't have
skilled
that
care
setup.
facility today.
Got to figure that
Financial
out.
strategist and long-term
I tried
care
it once, but
specialist
there
Chris
wasn't enough
Cooper
gain
of
on my
Serenity Wealth
output.
Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer. On News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
It's good stuff.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is News Talk STL.
Do you ever wonder why?
You
scratch your head and you look at the world and you look at the way things are going in the United States. You look at the public policy that's affecting our children so dramatically with a generation now, Generation Z, that really grew up, the first generation to really grow up totally under the influence and really as essentially becoming bionic human beings. Think about it. Connected to what used to take, well, the size of a living room with computers back in the 60s, 70s when mainframe computers started. And now these kids have this at the tip of their fingers. access to friends, access to arguably interesting stuff. I mean, boy, how many of us are able to solve interesting home fix-it problems with YouTube? And I learned that next time my fuel filter gels up on my diesel, I'm going to change my own fuel filter now. I'm going to do it. I have the YouTube inspiration to do it now. And kids, I think social media is such a part of their lives that we have to see what has it meant in terms of the impact on their lives, the good, the bad, and yes, the ugly. And we've seen the anxiety levels of especially sort of that middle school age, those teenage years, the tweens and teens. We've seen anxiety, depression, rates of suicide attempts skyrocket since the onset of the availability of social media. Sadly, we've seen child predation by pedophiles, by drug dealers, and aside from that, I mean, it's just the negativity that we can see with kids, especially girls that aspire to. Girls seem to suffer from the uncertainty of the transition and the aspiration to the perfect when their bodies are not perfect. They're not the supermodels that they see on the commercials, and now they see every day with filtered, modified views of their friends, people that aren't their friends. And then they get some online creep who shows interest in them when they're not interested in them. And Facebook's a part of that. Instagram's a part of that. TikTok's a part of that. So there were hearings again. Congress, under the, I think, guidance of the provisions in the Constitution and the directives that we expect as a self-governing society for our government to protect the most innocent from evil. I mean, you know, the safety of the people, and particularly those who can't fend for themselves. I think the government does have some role in that. So they drag the TikTok and X and Snap and Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, bosses into a big Senate committee hearing. And sitting behind Zuckerberg and the rest of them are, of course, the people holding the signs, the parents of children who have died or been brutalized by the pedophiles, the online predators, the drug dealers. Through the algorithmic addictive process that is social media. And this is what Ted Cruz said to Mark Zuckerberg this week.
To potential buyers. Instagram also displayed the following warning screen to individuals who were searching for child abuse material. These results may contain images of child sexual abuse. And then you gave users two choices. Get resources or see results anyway. Mr. Zuckerberg, what the hell were you thinking?
Now, I mean, you can call what went on there and what often goes on in congressional hearings as grandstanding. No doubt the cameras were rolling from Mr. Ted Cruz's campaign committee and PAC. But you do have to ask the question. I mean, how far will these people go with the proliferation? And by the way, the accumulation of vast sums of money. What's been driving, I understand from the money people, what's been driving the uptick in the markets recently is big tech largely. Meta declared their first dividend on the backs of huge profits this week. And what are you doing? I guess the follow-up question would be, Mr. Zuckerberg, why do you have to do that? Why do you put, hey, watch out, viewer beware, but you don't have to beware, just press here. I mean, really? Is that an invitation to just depravity on a mass scale? And of a magnitude that is abhorrent. And then And then nothing. You would expect nothing but this from Mark Zuckerberg, who, remember, funded many of the, shall we say, interesting voter practices and voting practices, and giving money to various jurisdictions to assure turnout at the polls back in the 2020 election. Remember that? Zuckerberg was responsible for a lot of funding of some very fishy goings on in county clerk's offices around the country, particularly in swing jurisdictions. Why would that be, I wonder?
Because he believes in equality, didn't want to destroy democracy. This is from the side that professes listen to the science when it came to the science, which was only partially true about the vaccines and wasn't readily and early on recognized when the data became available that it wasn't, the vaccines weren't all they were set out to be for everyone. They were valuable for some, but not for everyone. And this is what Zuckerberg said to justify it cynically.
The basic science behind that is that when people are searching for something that is problematic, it's often helpful to, rather than just blocking it, to help direct them towards something that that could be helpful for getting them to get help.
In what, I understand, get resources. In what sane universe is there a link for C results anyway?
Well, because...
Okay, there you go. There you go. The science suggests that some creep pedophile searching for child abuse material on Mr. Zuckerberg's platform, he's searching for child abuse material, will somehow self-regulate, instantly self-regulate, because he sees an option to go get help. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Some creep sitting in his basement trying to seek out and abuse some child online as part of a network is going to say, oh, the light will go on. The enlightenment will happen. The heavens will open. And a voice from God will say, press the See More Resources button. From Mr. Zuckerberg, who's always thinking about the creeps and helping them out. Now, Mr. Zuckerberg, they should have laughed. The entire Senate hearing committee there should have just laughed and said, you have to be kidding. Jerome, how absurd was that lame excuse by Mr. Zuckerberg?
Oh, my blood is boiling. You cannot sit there and let somebody searching for that material still have the option to view it and say that you are trying to offer them an alternative. For whatever money they spent designing that button and that feature, and I'm looking at it right now because they printed it out for the hearing, it should just say, seek help. We've automatically forwarded your IP address to the FBI. Somebody will be on the way to make sure that you cannot have access to children, and that should have been that.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But you see, this displays a mentality. Look, Mr. Zuckerberg probably has, if you were to do a CAT scan of his brain, my guess is that Mark Zuckerberg has a hemispheric proportion ratio. His right brain probably dominates 90% of his calvarium, his skull. Now, the right brain is the one that is the creative brain, but it's also sort of the emotional brain. It's the one that, women are from Venus, right brain, and men are from Mars, left brain. I'm sorry, that there's something to that. But the left brain is the analytic, rational, scientific, truly investigative brain. The left brain thinks emotionally. We need left brain. But it's the same left brain. We need right brain. It's the same right brain, left-handed mentality. The emotional, the nurturing, the caring. We need that input into our society. That's what charities are for. That's what food pantries are for. That's what Larry Rice's shelter for the homeless is for. That's fine. We need that. We need input like that. But you don't nurture criminals, not until they've been broken. You break them like a horse, like a wild Mustang. You break them. Have you ever seen someone break a horse? It's brutal. And then you nurture them. Then you form a relationship. Then they become an animal that is man's friend. In a similar way, what these people are doing in our inner cities, what they've done for so long since the Great Society, is to encourage, enable, invite, and now politically benefit from a perverted, a misdirected, and I would offer, I think, a nearly criminal use of what is potentially a good look. If Mark Zuckerberg said, "Look, we're gonna put a hard stop on anything like this. It's not gonna. It's once an algorithm encounters something like this, we're gonna put a hard stop. We're making an editorial decision. Free speech only goes so far." And with our great profits that would come from that, of course, because I don't think the creep in his basement who's a pedophile is doing a whole lot of buying on the clickbait you see on Facebook. Um, we're going to donate to shelters. We're going to donate to youth programs. We're going to donate to big brothers, big sisters. That makes sense to me. I could understand that. That's what the science says. But this is the mentality that spreads out from the left, which is you nurture criminals. We're just not giving them enough love. The hugs aren't strong enough. How's that working out for us? Look at the murder rate in our largest city, St. Louis, for crying out loud. The violent crime rate, as people continue to pummel the notion of punishment and accountability for wrongdoing, willful, malevolent wrongdoing. I'm not talking about a mistake. I'm not talking about a kid that gets caught with a six-pack on a Friday night. That's not what I'm talking about, although that kid should be at some point made accountable for that. But what I'm saying is we just don't get it in this country. And Mark Zuckerberg and his friends in social media should be made accountable for it. Why did they escape scrutiny? Why is there a carve-out for them when they are essentially, he just said, we use science, they're editing. I'll tell you an edit they did a few years ago. This is what infuriates me. I was proud of myself because I'd had a very difficult hunt, and I was really proud. It was one of those solemn moments. I hunted and hunted and hunted and finally nailed a deer with my crossbow. It was a big deal because a bow kill, even a crossbow kill, it's not the same as a compound bow kill. Okay, I know. I'm getting to where it's difficult because of a shoulder problem for me to pull the compound bow. So I finally bought a crossbow. But you got to have a deer within 30 yards or so to kill it with a crossbow. You have to do some work to do that. So I kill the deer. We field dress the deer. We bring the deer back here to the Liberty Lair. We have a little area where we hoist it up and we let it let it chill out in the cold before we take it to processing. My wife took a picture of me next to the deer hanging there. Guess what? Facebook shut it down. Inappropriate. This doesn't meet our community standards. Really? An all-American event doesn't meet Facebook's community standards, Mr. Zuckerberg. What science is that teaching? What science does that decision come from, Mr. Zuckerberg? A dead deer that was harvested with a legal hunt somehow in a traditional American moment. Yeah, we post the pictures with the deer still with their fur on and on the ground, and you smile and you look in. We do that too. But you see the hypocrisy of this. So they are editing. They are making decisions. Doesn't that put them in the same vein as publishers? Doesn't that make them subject to the same regulation as if I say something here on the air, which is directly, against FCC regulations? I'm sorry. I'm accountable for that. Keep the dump button very close, Jerome. Keep the dump button very close.
Aye, Captain.
I ask you, you tell me, where am I wrong here? There's more on that. We've got another clip, and it's, I think it's clip 9, Jerome, that really drives this down because, let me get this. Yeah, it's number 9. Yeah, and this was the final moment. And this is where I think Josh Hawley probably went a little overboard. I think it probably was a little too heavy on the grandstanding, the bullying, the condescending, which I often criticize senators for. I think Ted Cruz was not condescending. He was asking reasonable questions in a firm and directive manner. But nonetheless, this is what Josh Hawley asked Mark Zuckerberg to do, and he did it. Listen.
Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now? Well, they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
Okay, and it's soft. You can't really hear it there. But in fact, Mark Zuckerberg turned around and expressed regret that as a result of the platform and its misuse, I don't believe Mark Zuckerberg did what happened to those children. I don't hold him directly accountable. But instead of grabbing the moment and having a great opportunity saying, you know, Mr. Cruz, Senator Hawley, Senator Cruz, for 5 years I've come here and we've promised to do better and we haven't done good enough. And look them in the face. I don't think he should have capitulated and just it's not helpful for Hawley to, command him to do that. Essentially, I can go either way on whether that was a class act or a crass act on the part of Josh Hawley, but especially from the guy who was so strident on January 6th, and then you saw him running out of the building when things got hot. I thought that was pretty funny. I love you, Josh. I love you, but you know what I mean. But I think it would have been better if he'd have said, you know what? Starting today, we're going to put a hard stop on that. Starting today, I'm going to open a department for complaints against our algorithmic decision making. Starting today, things are going to change at Facebook and Instagram. Will we get it right every time? No. But I pledge to you and I pledge to these families in tribute to their children who have either died or been harmed by people using my platform. I will do everything in my power to change it. No, instead he justifies it on the science. I thought it was shameful. 314-912-1019. Let me know what you think. I've had libertarian-leaning conservatives, and I happen to be one, who say, no, that's what the courts are for. Let the courts go after him. Change 230. That's all you need to change. Don't ask him to do anything. It's an open platform. Let it be open. Free speech is free speech. Others say, no. He's got to throttle it down and be regulated, just like Ma Bell was back in the day of the telephone. 314-912-1019. Let me know. We'll be back with more on Randy Tobler Show.
Come on, baby. Don't say baby.
Mr. Zuckerberg, what the hell were you thinking?
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Hi, everybody. It's Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. The weather is cold, the world is woke, and our president is a joke.
Gee, Todd, it sounds like people need something to be happy about.
You're darn right, Joey. That's why every Saturday from 5 until 6, it's The Right Mind Show.
Boy, I feel giddy.
I bet you do. That's because we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
I want to sing.
Not now.
I'm full of joy.
Yeah, well, we're full of something, Joey.
It's The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Steph's Pizza is on the move to Lake St. Louis. That's right, you can now get the legendary Steph's Pizza and Pasta in Lake St. Louis, 111 Pond Fort Trail. Steph's Pizza, where Mondays you get a large pizza for the price of a small, and it just got more convenient for pickup or delivery in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peters on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis at 111 Pond Fort Trail. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res who are spreading the love for the month of February. We've trusted Zero Res with our home for years, and right now they have an incredible offer. Just book a cleaning in the month of February and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus they'll throw in a free hallway, and you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Columbo Special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
I love the Army. You just have this brotherhood that you can't find anywhere else. Since coming home from war, I've tried so many different things. I just remember thinking, like, it's over.
After being forced to medically retire, Angie battled addiction to prescription medications, eventually losing her house and marriage. Then she found Wounded Warrior Project.
And so I went online, I signed up, and I knew that Wounded Warrior Project was definitely my new community. One of the staff members, she put me in for peer mentor training. It was like for the first time someone recognized something good about me and thought that I had something to give back to someone else. Are you doing okay otherwise?
I've kind of picked up woodworking with my grandfather,
I
so...
saw the 3D stuff. All those activities gave me a new way to live without drugs, a new way to live without feeling like I'm broken. You can live a meaningful life after traumatic experiences.
You wouldn't go into battle alone. You don't have to fight this alone. Visit woundedwarriorproject.org/notalone.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Indeed, they are. Talk lines are open, 314-912-1019 as we roll along in the program. We're keeping an eye on what's going on over in Iraq, Syria, and the very tense Middle East as America launched what is predicted to be a series of multi-tiered strikes on Iranian proxies, and we'll see how that unfolds. If anything breaks, we'll of course bring it to you. Mark your phone here and have it wake you up if you're not already awake. At 7:05, we're going to be talking to Larry Behrens just in a few minutes about the future of oil, of energy. Where are we going? And with tensions in the Middle East, I don't see improvement. We'll see what he says. Virginia Crudo at 7:45. Rob Carter from the Rob Carter Show at 8:05. And Dakota Wood, he'll be weighing in on the latest on the U.S. retaliation at 8:25. So it's a packed show all morning. Make a big pot of coffee and keep it here all morning. We want to hear from you as well. Who's on the line there, Jerome? We're going to talk to, we have a caller, I know. Let's get to the caller. Go ahead.
We're going to go ahead and put him on the air right now.
Okay, go ahead. Who is this?
Hi, Randy. It's Lou calling.
Hey, Lou, how you doing? Welcome to the program.
I'm doing fine. How about you? You sound like you're enjoying yourself. I
don't know. I'm a little apprehensive because my wife, we're finally going to take down Christmas stuff at the lair, at the Liberty Lair, and that means all day long I'm going to be toting totes, if you know what I mean. But that's okay.
I know exactly.
Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to point out to you, I don't know that you are aware of this even, but I want to make sure that you are, because I think it's only fair to Josh Hawley that he be presented properly with regard to the last comment you made regarding him running scared out of the building. I've seen the tape that you're talking about many times on many different shows. And when I learned the truth, which I actually learned watching the Greg Gutfeld show, I'm pretty sure is where I remember seeing this, that Josh Hawley did run out of the building, as you said, but not like a scared ninny, running away like a sissy or something. In fact, there were a bunch of people that he allowed and maybe even encouraged to run out ahead of him, and he was the last one out. So he was not running like a scared ninny out of there. He was clearing the building like everyone else, and if anything, I would say he could be maybe accused of showing some heroic behavior because he could have been the first one out and not the last one out.
Yeah, noted. Okay. I still question whether or not good for you, and I will take that under advisement.
Well, thank you.
I use it as a metaphor to say, I get tired. I don't know if you do, but I get tired of people that put their clothes on the same way that you and I do, who happen to be talented orators, sitting up on benches higher than we, the common people, in a position of great authority, sometimes and too often, I think, in a condescending manner, basically literally talking down to people.
I totally get where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
I just want to make one more point, though, that this particular item has been discussed. As I've said, I've seen it on many of the liberal shows, and they always bash him, and they usually don't show the whole video either. They only show him running, and then they have a fun time saying. I mean, that's why I use the words ninny, scared running ninny and stuff. Because
I didn't call him a ninny, but he
I'm saying
they
have.
That certainly was not a fist up in the moment like we saw him the strident, walking into the building. But that's okay. I get it. Hey, point well taken. I think both points can be true. He could have done a heroic thing on J6 with that interpretation. I think that he had a great opportunity to say, Mr. Zuckerberg, will you today commit to, by way of apology, changing your policies? That's the real apology. A few words doesn't really matter. Anyway, I got to run on. Lou, thank you. That's what I love about this program. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Call again. 314-912-1019. That's good. I wasn't aware of the people running out ahead of him at his behest. That's good. Who's up next, Jerome?
We have a caller who'd just like to ask you a quick question.
Please, go for it. What's the question?
Hey, hi, this is Tom. Enjoy your show. I enjoyed listening to Rob Carter the other night, but whatever became of Joe Pagg's show? I know he's not a local guy, but
yeah, I don't know what happened to Joe Pags. We'd have to ask management. I don't make those decisions.
No, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, I realize that he's kind of a syndicated thing, but
right.
And of course he got pushed back to later times because you weren't actually listening to him live, okay? But I enjoy. I just enjoy everything I'm getting. I got kind of fed up back with another major radio station. That the only reason I listen to them now is because of a certain baseball team. But anyway, thanks so much for all you guys do.
Hey, well, thank you. And that baseball team let us down last year. I hope they have a better year. But hey, appreciate it, man. I'm telling you, I listened to the show. To Joe Pags. I listened to Shapiro. I listened to Rob. I listened to Larry. I listened to Tim and Chris. I listened to Katie and Colombo. I listened to the entire slate on my.
I hope we do another thing over there at that U17 because I met a bunch of you that evening and it was great. Okay, so.
All right. Hey, man, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Keep listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Keep commenting. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I tell you, you won't find a better lineup. And with varying opinions. And you know what? What's really exciting is currently with what's going on in Jefferson City with a lot of really, there's two sides. It seems like people have sort of drawn sides on, what's going on in the Missouri Senate and the GOP side. On this station, we have some major stand-up patriots, major players in the Freedom Caucus, Tim Jones and Nick Schroer, and many. I don't think we have any of the major players on the other side represented. I think I maybe taken a little bit of that side just to give another angle to the whole discussion, because there are a large swath of Republicans in Missouri who have another view of the whole issue between the Freedom Caucus and leadership. And no doubt, the Freedom Caucus is pedal to the metal. The leadership says, yeah, but if you press too hard, you end up in a crash. I don't know. It's it's interesting as it unfolds. But that's what's cool about the station. There's a lot of different opinions. Your opinion always welcome as well. And one thing we can say is, I think we all are in a large pail. It's like the pale of Christianity, right? There's a pale of orthodoxy. There's the Episcopalians, there's the Lutherans, there's the Catholics, but there's all Christianity, right? And everyone has a little different theology, but we're all hoping to go to the right place by following the right theology or the right basic biblical word, right? I hope so. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk to Larry Barron, see what's going to go on in terms of what it costs to put in our fuel tank. Stay tuned for more on The Randy Tobler Show.
St. Louis's place to talk.
The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Are you a natural leader driven by the desire to make a lasting impact? Is your deepest calling to be an elected official making a real difference? Now, picture yourself with the power to shape the future in St. Louis City. St. Louis needs your leadership now more than ever. The urgency is real. The Republican Party, City of St. Louis can help you file, be your guiding force, and support you during the campaign. Contact stlouisrepublicans.com and step into your destiny.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
We were there when our nation called us to serve. We were there to write the original GI Bill and get it signed into law. When a community found itself in the middle of a natural disaster. When tragedy struck at a local school. For veterans who suffered from toxic exposure and needed a voice on Capitol Hill. And we're still serving as part of the American Legion. For more than 100 years, veterans have been strengthening our nation through the American Legion. Through programs that help our nation's youth become tomorrow's leaders. By keeping the spirit of our forefathers alive and well. And by helping veterans receive the benefits they earned through their service. The American Legion will be there for the next 100 years. Learn more about how we're helping in your community at legion.org.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Iraq and Syria used by Iranian-backed militias and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says the targets were carefully chosen based on evidence
that they were connected to attacks
on U.S. personnel in the region.
He says the Pentagon is in the early stage of battle damage assessment.
But we believe that the strikes were successful.
President Biden said the response to the attack on American forces will continue at times and places of our choosing. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Senator Rick Scott among the conservatives frustrated by concessions being made to Democrats as Republicans try to hammer out a compromise on border security.
This has been going on for months. I've never seen it. And look, and you know, is that fair to the people that live in my state that they don't even get to look at this? This is what's wrong with D.C.
Senator Scott was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. New polling, meanwhile, in the California U.S. Senate race.
The latest poll shows Congressman Adam Schiff in the lead. The California Elections and Policy poll showed the Burbank Democrat with 25% support. Democrat Congresswoman Katie Porter is tied with Republican Steve Garvey. Democrat Representative Barbara Lee sits at 7%. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Tesla is recalling nearly all of the vehicles it sold in the U.S.
Here's the problem, says the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The font on some warning lights on the instrument panel is too small. That can make critical information hard to read and increase the risk of a crash, though Tesla says it has no reports of any crashes or injuries. Tesla has already started releasing a software update, and affected owners will be notified by letter starting March 30th.
That's Rita Foley reporting. More from townhall.com.
You all know that aches and pains come with simply getting older, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it. That's why I want to tell you about a special lady, Leah from Ohio, and her Relief Factor story. One Sunday, Leah was sitting on the couch in so much pain she was literally in tears. That's when she decided to try Relief Factor. Just 8 days later, she found relief, and she continued to get better and better. To quote her, she said, "I am truly amazed at this product. Like me, who after 9, almost 10 years, almost a decade of low back pain, lost that pain thanks to Relief Factor." If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Get the 3-week quick starter pack at relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. It all comes with the feel better or your money back guarantee. That number, 1-800-4RELIEF, relieffactor.com.
Some familiar beauty products that say made in China may actually have been made in North Korea.
North Korea is more known for ballistic missiles than beauty products, but Chinese customs data shows that these now account for nearly 60%.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Schroer from Stand and Fight every Sunday 8 to 10 p.m. If you need tree removal, storm damage, repairs to trees, tree trimming, pruning, if your bushes are out of control, call River City Tree Service. Free quotes right now, 314-270-8071, 314-270-8071. Professional tree services performed by ISA certified arborists. Request your free quote at rivercitytreeservice.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hey, Josh Hawley here. Come join me in Kansas City for Missouri State Lincoln Days on February 16th and 17th. It's going to be an amazing time. Amazing speakers. My family and I are going to be there. We want you to be there too as we talk about the fight to save our country. Don't wait. Get your tickets right now at mogop.org. I'm Josh Hawley, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Learn more and get tickets at mogop.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Republican Party. Jennifer Finch, Treasurer.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
What new chaos and crises did Joe Biden start over the weekend? We'll discuss at 4:25 with former U.S. Senator Jim Talent. Red State Headlines at 5:25 with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Hey, it looks like you like to get up early, so Monday through Friday, listen to me from 5:30 to 9. Mike Ferguson here, and you are listening to The Randy Tobler Show right here on News Talk STL.
Yeah, I love getting up with Mike and listen to he and Gabe, and it's a lot of fun. Now that I'm doing a morning show, I have to catch them during my breaks. Doing a morning show in another area out in mid-Missouri. But it's great stuff. There's so many ways to connect with us. You can connect with us on the app. It's a great app. It really is. On the web at newstalkstl.com. Of course, on the good old radio. That always works. Alexa. I don't do Alexa. I don't know. Jerome, you do Alexa? I don't really want people. I don't want. I think they know enough about me. I don't want them knowing everything I say and whisper and everything else.
Yeah, I don't trust it at all. I don't even use Amazon Prime, to be honest. I try to stay away from all of that.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, good for you. Yeah. Well, unfortunately I do that. I probably shouldn't. Once in a while, the Siri on my phone. I'm just having a conversation with someone, and I get this voice. How can I help you? Or whatever Siri says. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't ask for you, Siri. And it's very odd. Maybe I need to turn Siri off. They are listening. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's funny how they supply. I'm wondering if they're supplying smartphones that can be tracked to people coming across the border. Yeah, I mean, they're getting phones, aren't they? Are they just the regular burners? Are they just flip phones? Or what? Do you know what? Are they like Obama phones? I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll see. But that would be a great plan if they could supply them with phones that could be tracked, and that way, when they didn't show up for their hearing, wait, forgive me, the hearing doesn't happen until 2030 in some cases. I mean, really. Speaker Johnson had something to say on the border disaster. I saw a video clip last night. It was a fresh video clip. It wasn't B-roll both lanes of some, it looked like a state road down in Texas. Occupied by, in Mexico, I'm sorry, some kind of a state road coming up towards the border. I mean, I'm talking about, there were probably, 10, 12 people wide as far as the eye could see. Literally a horde coming up to the border. And those people are just going to cross willy-nilly. They're going to get passage. They're going to get all kinds of care, medical care, social welfare care. Meanwhile, we're paying the bills, and people are getting injured. Cops getting beat up in New York City. Well, there's different reports. I mean, Senator Langford is getting all kinds of heat from others. Rightfully, people on the right that are saying, "Wait a minute, you can't tell Joe Biden that with this legislation he has a threshold of 5,000 a day on average, or 8,000 in one day." That then he can shut it down. I mean, but Langford last week on the Talking Heads show said, no, that's not true. They don't know what we're talking about behind. I don't know. Why don't they have open negotiations? They should do these negotiations in open. What is all this behind the scenes stuff? Just have a C-SPAN meeting, have Schumer and McConnell and Josh Hawley, who was tough on the border, Ted Cruz, have them there, Lindsey Graham, and a couple other Dems, and some House members. Have them all sit there in a big round table and hash it out. Let's hear how they really feel. No, they won't do that. That's too transparent. Here's what Speaker Johnson is drawing the line about on the border. Listen.
In 2013, the Obama administration, listen to this, the Obama administration detained 82% of illegal aliens. How do we go from detaining 82% to releasing 85%? It only happens if this is by design. It only happens if it's an orchestrated, intentional effort by the administration to do exactly that.
It is. And how cynical, how just in your face. Talk about the look, everyone, I don't know. Jerome, did you see this after these guys, these illegals beat up, that wrestled the cop in New York City, and then they got released because the prosecutor up there says, we have to be absolutely sure. Absolutely sure. Isn't that bizarre? Absolutely sure that these are in fact the guys that did the crime before we throw the book at them, because we got to make sure we get a solid prosecution. Where was that guy back in 2015, 16, and 17 when the FBI was going after Donald Trump about golden showers? Remember about the prostitutes in Russia? Where was he about the Russian dust? Where was that kind of prosecutorial rigor when it came to Donald Trump? No. We use prosecutorial rigor and we give them the benefit of the doubt when it's some low-life scum illegal immigrant who gives Americans the finger after beating up cops.
How would they even, you want to be 100% certain, but these people don't have identification. They're not here legally. Like, what documentation are you going to use to prove that it's them then? Is that just an excuse not to have to prosecute them and hold them accountable?
Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Where's your reference point? Yeah, that's right. I mean, these are the kind of people that probably are being, quote, persecuted for the right reasons in their own countries. Probably their local law officials are, quote, persecuting them and prosecuting. That's why they're running. And so they're going to use our asylum laws to say, oh, I'm persecuted. No, well, you're a thug. Oh, my God. Sometimes you need to pinch yourself. I mean, if Rod Serling were alive, the creator of Twilight Zone, he'd have enough real fodder for the absurd, science fiction that he created on his show. And then, of course, now they're taking the impeachment articles to Mayorkas, which they need to. I mean, Mayorkas needs to be impeached. This is a treasonous act. When you willfully ignore the will of the people, which is clearly and the letter of the law, which is keep people the heck out of our borders, off of our borders. They don't get a right to step foot in America and then say, "Oh, asylum." The immigration lawyers, many of whom sadly, immigration lawyers, I think, who tell people on the other side of the border what to say and exactly how to get through the loophole of the law, those people need to be scrutinized carefully. Are they breaking some law by aiding and abetting criminality? I'm just saying. I don't know. Probably not. We have a caller on the line. Apparently, this caller identifies as female because Jerome is telling me she didn't give her name. What's your name? Are you wanting to identify by name or gender or something else?
My name's Sally.
Oh, Sally. Well, thank you for calling, Sally. What's on your mind?
I've called before. It's been a long time. I just tuned in and you were talking about the mass illegal alien invasion, and I think that's what we got to start calling it. If we keep using their quote migration words, it's opposite. I recently saw on Tucker's network an interview with Brett Weinstein, and I encourage anybody to go listen to it. It was like an hour in-depth interview. It'll scare the pants off of you about the camps at the Darien Pass in Panama, and there's one separate camp that's Chinese only, and all military-age males. And
Sally,
they're invading us from the inside out. I mean,
Sally, did you see that? Sally, did you see the video clip? It was an amateur journalist who this guy comes across, and he looks Middle Eastern, arguably, and he's a really tall, skinny guy, and they ask, who are you? And he says, you don't know who I am? You'll know soon who I am, or something like that. You'll find out. And then there's been allegations that he actually is a known terrorist. I mean, I don't know, or maybe he looks like a known terrorist. I'm not sure that it's actually been confirmed, but we know you're right. These people are leaking into our country and you know that they're going to be able to set something up.
Planned.
Yeah.
And Brett was saying when he came back to the States that when he went through customs with his hat on and his sunglasses, they were able to identify him and tell him he didn't need to scan his passport. But yet all these people are just walking across the border. And like I said, he said a large camp of, and think about it, the Chinese have way too many men now, not enough women. The easy way to dispose of them is send them all over here, like I said, to invade us from within. And people need to wake up and realize, you know, this is serious and it's happening.
Yeah, sadly, thank you very much for the call, Sally. Really do appreciate that.
Yeah, you have a good day, Randy.
Hey, you too. Thanks so much. I fear every day I go to bed every evening just praying and in fear that we're going to wake up to another 9/11 or something like it, and it will be from people within that got here illegally. It's not a matter of if, it's when. I fear. I hope not. I hope that the FBI is better connected station to station, and that within, between CIA and FBI, that's the whole reason DHS was formed, was to try to create a better, more efficient, rapid, and timely and preventative interaction between various agencies and stations and members within those agencies. I think it was a valid and noble effort. I just don't know whether it's going to work. Maybe it has worked. Maybe that's why we haven't seen another 9/11 here. Maybe that's why. You'd like to think that there could be some trust restored in agencies like DHS, but when you got a jackal, and I'm going to use that word, Mayorkas is a jackal, the way he behaves. He condescendingly sits there and looks senators and representatives in the eye and says that the border's secure. Hello? That's why there are articles of impeachment now that will be hopefully voted on this coming week. We have something from Representative Green, who is on that committee. You got that clip? Let's play it.
Today is a grave day. We have not approached this day or this process lightly. Secretary Mayorkas' actions have forced our hand. We cannot allow this border crisis to continue. We cannot allow fentanyl to flood across our border, our criminals to waltz in undeterred. And we cannot allow a cabinet secretary with no regard for the separation of powers or the rule of law to remain in office. That is why today we present this committee with the articles of impeachment against Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
And how embarrassing for Mayorkas. I mean, could you imagine? Well, I guess we all sort of live in our own echo chambers and preach to our own choirs and hang out with our own flock of like-minded birds. But, I mean, when you see the likes of Kristi Noem of South Dakota, whose name has been floated for vice president, that's on clip 8, Jerome. When you hear her describe how easy it is, as Governor Abbott is displaying day by day, they have invented a way, apparently, I mean, not invented, they're common sense. They're building their own wall of sorts. And at least in Eagle Pass, I understand things at Eagle Pass have tempered down because of the barrier that Abbott's put up, and maybe going now, if you plug one leak, the water finds another place to leak. But it's how embarrassing for Mayorkas when simple, purposeful, intentional directives and initiatives at keeping people out of our country, period. You want to claim asylum? Do it in Mexico. You want to claim asylum? Do it at the embassy down in Venezuela, Honduras, wherever you're coming from. You don't walk across the Rio Grande and then claim asylum. That's what you don't do. Donald Trump did that. Here's what Kristi Noem says about measures put in place.
To the Texas National Guard when I was down there on Friday. They said the reason that the federal government took them to court was because the razor wire they were putting up was actually working. They had put it up on top of shipping containers on a panel in a different method that actually kept even the able-bodied military-aged men unable to climb it and cross over it. So you could see everywhere they had installed this new way of putting this barrier in place, it worked. And that's when the federal government decided to take them to court and sue them to have to take it down. So that's what's incredible to me. We have a president that's not just ignoring federal law, he's knowingly violating federal law. and helping and facilitating this invasion. I did a joint.
Okay, there you go. So, I mean, think about it. If Kristi Noem were the vice president in the same chair as Kamala Harris is now under a different administration, and if she was in charge of the border, think we'd have a little different outcome? Mayor Adams in New York, you think you might be not having to spend, millions and millions and millions of dollars? Brandon Johnson in Chicago, heads up. That would be a border czar who would actually take care of the matter. Mayor of Denver, things might be a bit different for you, buddy. Instead, you continue to drink the Kool-Aid. It's very blue Kool-Aid. It's blueberry Kool-Aid. Very blue. They drink the Kool-Aid, I guess, because if they don't drink the Kool-Aid, they won't get funding from the DNC or whatever, Democrat PAC it is. How self-serving, how selfish, how just cynical it all is, right? I mean, that's why many people say politics, schmolitics. I'm done. A lot of people check out. They just start listening to old, 80s podcast, aggregations, right? They're done.
One of the things I was thinking about with all this too, though, is aren't we supposed to be a very evil, racist country? Like, why do everybody else from all these other countries want to come here if, like, the Democrats say we're all just a bunch of racist, evil people?
Wow, that's right. I mean, if we hate brown people, right, and people are other than white, Aryan, Bible-thumping, gun-toting men and women, why in the world would you want to come to such a hateful, racist country? And that brings up something we've talked about before. If you ever go to D.C., take a shuttle. 99 times out of 100, take a Uber, take a whatever shuttle from the airport. If you fly into Reagan, we've done it several times, and you'll get someone, often Ethiopians, a lot big Ethiopian community there, sometimes other, certainly immigrant community. You ask them about their thoughts about America. They're legal citizens. You ask them about that extra job they're working. They're a microbiologist by day. They're working in some technical capacity by day, maybe a manufacturing capacity, driving an Uber at night. You know why? Because they're putting their son or their daughter through school. And these are people of color basking in the glow of America's greatness and prosperity, which was built on a meritocracy, which recognized its past sins and corrected them. And so for the haters of America, you know what? I'm serious about this. It's about time we bring back the old, and I don't think it's worn enough, mantra. Love this country and its virtues and its values, or leave it. You go change those countries. Don't send Kamala Harris, don't send my money to Colombia. Don't send my money to Venezuela. You're not going to change these people. You go down there and live their life. You love them so much. You go down there and you hate this country so much. Get out of here. You're fired. We'll be back in a minute.
Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
It's obvious. The unthinkable continues. Most Americans know something very wrong is happening. People in charge keep telling you that everything's fine and to stop noticing. But you know better. That's why self-reliant folks are investing in emergency food storage. You should too. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, are the ones you can trust. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $200 on each 3-month food kit you purchase. My Patriot Supply also sells solar generators, gravity-powered water filters, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship that same day and arrive quickly on your doorstep in unmarked boxes. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today. Time is running out to prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
7:28, coming up at 7:45, Virginia Kruta will join us in her usual weekly visit with us. I'm sure she'll have a lot to say about social media, the goings-on in the Middle East. We don't see anything new materializing in the retaliation for the drone attack that wounded dozens of Americans and killed 3 of our service members. They came home yesterday. Thankfully, Joe didn't look at his watch. That was a victory for Joe. What an embarrassment this guy is. At 8:05, we talk with Rob Carter. Check in with him. You hear him every night here from 8 to 10 on News Talk STL. And then Dakota Wood from Heritage to sum up what we know, where we've been, where he thinks we might be going in that effort to retaliate. And, yeah, you'd hope deter once and for all, or at least once and for a while, the Iranians and their proxies. We'll see what Dakota thinks about that at 8:25. Rick joins us now. Oh, Rick. How you doing, Rick?
Well, still getting older, so I figured that's got to be a good sign.
Well, at least you're over the hill and not under it, right? That's my motto. Better to be over the hill than under it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm following you on up over that hill. Next, I remember you said you were like a lustrum or a heptad or something older than me, so I figure no problem. They say you ain't too old till there's no one older than you. Then you might be too old. Simple as that.
There you go.
But
so
anyway,
what do you think about what's going on over there? Tell me what's going on over in the Middle East. Your take on it. The strikes against the alleged perpetrators, and what should have been done and what should be done next.
Well, considering I might have spent more years over there than most of your buddies, I say we should have never shut down Bagram. That was one of the dumbest things we ever did, because Bagram was the most secure base camp possibly, and a great base camp for us to have to observe what's going on and to be able to take action much easier and much better from there. But as far as what the Iranians and the others are doing, well, we actually helped them out with some of the technology. They never had no such thing as a drone until Osama Obama was able to get some of that to them, that information, that technology, whatever. And I kind of think as bad an enemies as some of them are over there, that we may have some even worse with the Democrat Party, but that's as if nobody knows that already.
Yeah.
And
Rick,
also,
are
you were
you
talking
concerned?
earlier, and you were asking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, well, are
Whichever.
you concerned that?
There's
Are you? Rick, let me ask you this: are you concerned that
Sure.
Joe Biden, through his telegraphing, first in Afghanistan, the exact day, time, minute, and way we were going to withdraw, and now again in Middle East, has absolutely threatened any future real deterrence that might come from this administration?
Well, we definitely got less deterrence than we did before under our main man that actually did win the 2020 election. And it could be a rough year as far as our dealings with them over there. But I'm trying to see about doing a little research on that when I get time. And you were asking about some stuff with that Facebook, that Zuckerberg that was talking with the senators and that in the hearing, and the folks that had problems from them when their children got on it. Well, they got to also look at it that anything that has to do with liberalism is actually too dangerous for children to be actually involved with, whether it's that F book or whatever. And it's up to mom and pa to try to protect their children from any of that, F book, goggle, Google, whatever they want to call it, any of that type of garbage. I don't use none of it. And anybody who doesn't like liberalism, should stay away from it, plain and simple, and protect their children from it also. Because I ain't sticking up for that Zuckerberg or any of them others either, but still, we got to do what we can on our side also, besides having to try to do something about them.
All right, Rick. Well, that's good.
Anyway.
Sage words for the parents listening out there. Maybe just don't even open that. And thank you for the call, Rick. Always great to talk with you. It's always, maybe that's the answer, Jerome. Just don't even, open up that Pandora's box. Don't even open up that Pandora's box by giving them the phone and all. The problem is then you run into where the kids become combative and warriors against their parents. It's a difficult headwind that parents are against.
And do you know what the liberals' paradise is?
Washington, D.C. at this point.
Well, do you remember? You remember the old sheriff from the 1950s, that Joe Arpaio? He said it. Liberals' paradise would be the place where everybody has guaranteed employment, free comprehensive health care, free education, free food, free housing, free clothing, and a place that'd be good for the Clintons, and the rest of their knuckleheads. Yeah, and he said the place already exists. It's called prison.
Okay, that's a good last word for Rick this week. Thanks very much for the call, Rick. Appreciate it. All right, good words.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know though. The liberals don't recognize prison as a valuable contribution to the fabric of America anymore. I mean, it's just I don't think they recognize that anyone should belong in prison, right? I mean, just let them all out the way they act, and if they end up in prison, let them out earlier. Especially with the most heinous, hardened criminals, we see time after time after time. We hear about the murders. I don't recall murders being. I mean, yes, the high-profile often ultra wealthy, bizarre, the Murdaugh murder out in South Carolina. Okay, but for the most part, the vast majority of murder and violent crime cases you hear, that's not the first. That's not the first violent incident that person has had. That's not the first time that someone has done anything outside the law. I'm not talking about a speeding ticket. I'm not talking about being caught with a joint. Well, that's now legal. I'm talking about they've had a track record. The trajectory of their lives was leading in this direction, and there's something wrong with not cutting this behavior off at the pass. It doesn't make a sense. It just doesn't make sense. I just don't get it. Larry's up now. Larry wants to join in the program. How you doing, Larry? Welcome to the Randy Tobler Show.
Oh, good morning, Dr. Tobler. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, same to you. What's on your mind, Larry?
Oh, well, it's always great to talk with you Saturday, and I'm always happy to discuss energy with you.
Oh, it's Larry Behrens. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were taking calls here, and I'm like, okay, now it's this Larry. I'm sorry. We were having rapid fire calls, Larry. My apologies. I was into caller mode. You know how that goes. Okay, Larry Behrens joins us now.
Sorry.
Hey, Larry, real quickly, I know we don't have much time in this segment anymore, and I'm sorry we missed you earlier. The disparity between reports that oil production is at its highest in the country, domestic oil production, and how that squares with the issue that Republicans have made in this election cycle that, hey, Joe shut it all down, and the price at the pumps, look at that, that's all Joe's fault. Well, we're producing record energy, yet the prices are up. How do we explain it all?
Yeah, it's well, first of all, it's a testament to the American energy worker that they are able, even under these conditions, to get that type of production in the United States. But there are facts that Joe Biden just cannot hide from. He can't hide from the fact that he canceled the Keystone Pipeline. He can't hide from the fact that he is taking land off the table for production. And so when he has the fewest acres available for production since Harry Truman, then you have to ask yourself, well, American energy workers are able to get record production off the least amount of land in 60, 70 years. What would happen if Joe Biden got out of the way? What would we be able to do? And as we see gas prices creep up right now, we could just think of the fact that it could be so much better. But Joe Biden wants credit for making things not as bad as he made them just a few years ago. That's the type of dynamic he wants us to believe. When he says record production, we need to say it could be so much better if you would just get out of the way.
We're talking with Larry Behrens. You hear Larry here, of course, every Saturday evening from 4 to 5 on Power Punch. Great show. And Larry, I am going to be listening this evening, hopefully, after we finally put away all of the Christmas junk. And so I will. What's on at 4 today when you come on?
We're going to be talking a lot about, there was some things that happened this week, a couple really notable things. First of all, John Kerry, for the first time in a long time, no longer has a government job. But the guy that's replacing him is named John Podesta, and he was Bill Clinton's former chief of staff and has a really interesting history in the green agenda world. And so things are probably not going to get better. And then also there's been studies this week that Martha's Vineyard is now a low-income community, all because of electric vehicles. And we'll explain how Joe Biden thinks that makes sense.
If I think of the whole energy situation and the back and forth between us knuckle draggers who value, fossil fuels and those who think that EVs are the future, I think it's like the Empire. No, we're the Jedi, right? We're the Return of the Jedi now because we've really seen a retraction from EVs. Hertz sold off 30,000 of their EV cars, or they're in the process of it. Ford they shut down a truck, an F-150 EV plant. Is that just a pause while the technology goes forward, or are they saying, hey, enough, we're done with this? Where do you think we are in that continuum?
Yeah, I think the EV bubble has burst. I think if EVs were the future, we've spent so much money at them and so much time now that we would all have one. We didn't need to be told that the iPhone was the future. Within 2 years, it was the dominant device that most of us had in our pockets. But here's something fun that, listeners can do as they watch the Super Bowl, which I know they're going to do anyway. Every year, nearly every year since 2015, there's been an EV commercial in the Super Bowl. Here's the new EV. Here's the new EV. And last year we took a look at all the EV commercials that had been on the air, and we found that I think nearly every one, if not every one of those EVs that they advertised during the Super Bowl either never made it to market or was a colossal failure once it did. Most of it discontinued. Some have never made it, and yet they're going to have this ad that makes you think, once again, here's the future. Here it is at the door. It's like, well, no, we've seen – I mean, we're supposed to have an electric Hummer by now, are we not? I haven't seen it. That was in the Super Bowl last year. We were supposed to have a small BMW i3. Well, they discontinued it in 2021. But yet, if you watch the Super Bowl, it was going to be just around the corner. And so even with all this massive money, it's I think the EV bubble has burst, but Joe Biden's going to keep throwing billions of our dollars at it to try to keep it on life support.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, look, the Super Bowl's already shown us that they don't have the right judgment when it comes to things other than the football game. After all, Usher's going to be the halftime entertainment and not Taylor Swift. What are they thinking? Final question for you. And I was talking with someone the other day who seems to be fairly knowledgeable, and we had a very nice discussion. Actually, it was in the locker room after I'd had a swim, and I think the guy was working out, and he recognized my voice and said, "Oh, you're on the air," and we got talking. And he says, "You know, I'm on the other side of the fence." But I said, "Well, yeah, we got talking energy," which is a dangerous thing because I wish I knew as much as Larry Behrens when I got into these discussions. But he says, "You know, you guys rail on about the Keystone XL pipeline. Do you know that pipeline was meant," he told me, was meant to divert oil. That was basically an oil for export pipeline. At least that's the way I processed what was a longer discussion about the Keystone XL pipeline. True or false?
He's true, but not in the way he thinks. It was made to export oil sand or oil product from Canada to the United States for processing. So yeah, if you're Canadian, it was made to export. If you're part of the United States, it was made to increase supply. And so when the response I would have to that is also look at just a few years when people forget, and we need to remember, when the Colonial Pipeline was taken over by hackers. That was a single pipeline on the East Coast. But look what it did to a place like Virginia. There were lines for gasoline because a pipeline being disrupted, even just one for a few days, caused near chaos. And so when you look at the infrastructure, when it gets taken offline, it can affect millions in a heartbeat.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. No, he implied that this was for oil that after processing would ultimately go overseas into the global market. So, you know, I don't know. I see, that's the thing. You don't know what to believe anymore, but we know we can believe what Larry says. And you can hear more of that on Power Punch from 4 to 5 every Saturday here on News Talk STL. Larry, thanks for joining me, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Sorry I was late. Always great to talk with you.
Oh, no, great to be with you. All right, so when we come back, we'll talk with Virginia Kruta. Talk with her about borders, energy, social media. What else you want to talk with her about? Taylor Swift? Oh, yeah. I want to talk with Virginia about whether she buys into Vivek Ramaswamy. We're going to talk about that with her. Is Vivek out of his mind claiming there's a conspiracy between the NFL and all that? You got to be kidding me. Okay, we'll see. Virginia Kruta joins us right after this. Rob Carter at 8:05. And then Dakota Wood to talk about Middle East matters and retaliation, 8:25. Lots coming up on the program.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dial off, you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A Plus Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A Plus has always done great work for a great price. A Plus Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A Plus for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A Plus Plumbing and Drain.
I like supporting local companies that give back to the community. For more than 40 years, Vincent's Jewelers has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. So I'm personally asking that when you're shopping for jewelry, give Vincent's a chance. And in turn, Vincent's will give even more to our community. On Olive, just east of 270. New specials every day on VincentsJewelers.com or Vincent's Facebook.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back to the program. Glad you're with us. I'm really glad Virginia's here because I'm confused about things, and she always helps straighten it out here with a perspective that no one else brings. That's why she writes at the Daily Wire and is on News Talk STL. Virginia, are you confused about the timing and the manner and the telegraphing of the response overseas? I know you have served in the military, so what do you think?
No, I'm not. I'm not confused about it at all. This is an administration who has made it clear that they are always going to telegraph to the enemy what we're doing. They're going to tell them exactly what day we're going to withdraw from Afghanistan so that the Taliban can be ready to come in and take over. They're going to tell, the Iranians exactly when we're going to strike back at them, at their proxies, so that they can remove leadership from the position. This is not new. This is an administration that is more talk than action, and it's only fitting for the talk to come first and to essentially take the air out of the action. When we were dealing with similar situations with President Trump, we found out afterward that he dropped the mother of all bombs. Remember, we found out afterward that he had ordered a strike on that killed Soleimani. We found out afterward, and this is okay. You get Congress complaining, well, he's not allowed to do that without our permission. Yes, he is. He is allowed to strike back, to take precision. Now, he cannot declare war and fund it without congressional permission, but he can take specific actions to defend and protect American interests or to retaliate against strikes that killed Americans. He can do that, and he can do it without telling Congress, and he can do it without telling the American people. And the thing is, he should, because if he does tell the Congress or the American people, then the enemy finds out what he's doing and can mitigate the impact. Yeah. They can blunt the impact of any action Biden does take, which is what you saw this weekend. You know, he makes the strike, and he makes a big deal about the strike, but if the goal is to actually cripple the Iranian proxies, you don't do that if you give them a warning and let them get their leadership out of the area first, or even some of the weapons that we're trying to target.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, when you give them a week, better part of a week, warning them that I have a plan. Well,
meanwhile, he left our American troops exactly where they were, which is apparently vulnerable to attack.
It's crazy. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. I think many people are scratching their heads and analyzing it in a similar way. And like you say, he's done it in the past, so it's no surprise. Okay. Now I want to move to this Taylor Swift thing, and it's not as much about Taylor and Travis as it is. Look, Vivek Ramaswamy at times seems like a promising, serious candidate for future office because he's out of the race this cycle. But then he comes up with this theory that, here it is, I'm reading the tweet, I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month, and I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple. I mean, there's two ways to look at this thing. One is that this is just a man and a woman who are sort of, you know, publicly living the American romantic story. And then there's the tinfoil hat theory, which a lot of MAGA side of the aisle have adopted. How do you analyze this?
Well, I would say this: Taylor Swift is going to endorse Biden anyway. So, is it some grand conspiracy? No, she endorsed Biden in 2020, and it wasn't a grand conspiracy then. And she endorsed I got to laugh at this because the Lincoln Project is going on and on about how, you know, Marsha Blackburn, the Tennessee senator, is afraid of Taylor Swift. Okay, so remind me, Taylor Swift very publicly endorsed Marsha Blackburn's opponent in 2018. Remind me again, which one of them is senator? I think it's right. Marsha Blackburn. I don't think she's afraid of Taylor Swift. You know, and not only did she win after the Taylor Swift endorsement of her opponent, she won by 10 points. So, come on, guys. So now, will Travis Kelce endorse Biden? I don't know, maybe, but he's certainly endorsed the vaccine, and that kind of gives you an idea where he might stand. So, or he's going to back Taylor. But here's what I have to say about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and whatever else is going on. Look, I don't care what Taylor Swift does. I don't. I think if she has a healthy relationship with Travis Kelce, please let them get married. Let them have kids. Like Ben Shapiro said, let's have the Taylor Swift baby boom because suddenly the Gen Zs are thinking marriage is cool again. Let's do that. That's fine with me. But stop making me care what Taylor Swift does because I don't. Yeah. My problem is not with her and Travis Kelce. It's with the cult following that demands that I care what she does.
You know, a colleague of yours at the Daily Wire, and I only have a minute and a half here. Colleague of yours at the Daily Wire, Andrew Klavan, yesterday on his podcast said, you know, what's really cool about this thing is that, and it's creating tension in the world of women, is that he cited this video of them getting out. I guess they were getting out of a car at a posh New York restaurant, and the security guy wanted to get out and open the door for her, and Travis said, no, I've got my lady, I'll take care of her, thank you. And he claimed that women have been the woman who wants to be protected, provided for, the traditional feminine role is in conflict with what the feminist movement has told women that no, that's not appropriate. You're weak if you do that. That's not right. You shouldn't do that. And that maybe this is a return to traditional masculine and feminine roles. What say you?
Maybe, and I will say this, and this is the last thing that I have to say about the Kelceys. I have seen the way Travis Kelce treats Taylor Swift, and I've seen the way Jason Kelce, who plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, the way he treats his daughters after every practice. There are videos of him before he goes home and changes and everything. He brings his daughters out onto the field, and he sits there exhausted from his own practice and chucks balls down the field for them, and they run and get them and come back and hug him, and it's the most adorable thing you've ever seen. And I will say this, whatever else is going on in their lives, they were raised right.
Yep. Okay.
These are two boys who are out there doing living the American dream, playing football in the NFL. And when the cameras are off, they're treating their women and their kids exactly how they should.
Yeah, and to expand on that, I loved it when Jason Kelce, full of dad bod, out of full joy, rips off his shirt and is just loving the moment. I thought
it was great. It was great.
That was great. That was the America I remember, and the family and women and men interactions I remember. All right.
I mean, this is the guy whose season is over. His season is over, and he's out there like, that's my bro.
All right, it's great. Hey, thanks, Virginia. Great stuff. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Good stuff. All right, when we come back, Rob Carter weighs in on the goings-on of the day. We have lots to talk about in a whole nother hour. Stay with us.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The numbers and the percentages of college freshmen and sophomores who now identify as something other than what they actually are is staggering because we have been promoting it. We have been instigating this dysphoria. We have been instigating this evil. Most of that has come from two places, education and popular.
Yeah, this is all spiritual warfare that's going on.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You're the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
You know that feeling? Like every door is closing and you just can't see a way out? Being unemployed, underemployed, or just out of school feels a lot like that. But when you find the right tools, suddenly everything just clicks. Getting on that path may be easier than you think. A good place to start? Go to findsomethingnew.org. At findsomethingnew.org, you have access to resources that help develop new skills. Skills that will position you for careers in today's growing industries, from healthcare and manufacturing to cybersecurity and alternative energy. Plus, you can take advantage of online courses, certification programs, apprenticeships, and more. So you can take yourself from unemployed and uncertain to empowered and prepared for what's next. Find your path to a new career today. Visit findsomethingnew.org. A message from the Ad Council.
So, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an optimist. A what? An optimist. My dad is one, and he says optimists help kids. He says they have all sorts of activities and programs for kids. Things that help kids feel good about themselves. Dad says they have sports programs, safety programs, and things that are just fun. So, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I kind of wanted to be a rock star, but now I think I might want to be an optimist, too.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Said the U.S. does not seek conflict but will respond if Americans are harmed. The airstrikes took place a few hours after the bodies of the 3 U.S. soldiers killed in Jordan returned home. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Congressman Mike Gallagher, who chairs the House Select Committee on China, says the U.S. is actually under constant attack from China through its illegal exports of fentanyl. His concerns are not eased by China's promises to crack down on those responsible.
We've seen this movie before. The Chinese Communist Party makes promises about cracking down on fentanyl production, and they never deliver. And what happens is more Americans die.
Congressman Gallagher was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Armed Services Committee member Roger Wicker of Mississippi hoping for a big change in the White House in November.
And I hope part of their resolve will be, part of President Trump's resolve will be to rebuild our military and get us to the point where we were under Reagan. That is strength that gives us peace.
Americans for Prosperity attorney Kurt Couchman says the proposed comprehensive Congressional Budget Act would reduce waste by giving the Budget Committee the power to reject proposed spending plans that exceed top levels.
And if the committee that wants to spend too much never fixes it, then the Budget Committee can just stick in the current law line items into the comprehensive budget and say, well, you had your chance, but here's the baseline, so we're going to move forward without you.
Couchman was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network's Hugh Hewitt. More of these stories at townhall.com.
We all know that aches and pains come with simply getting older, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it. That's why I want to tell you about a special lady, Leah from Ohio, and her Relief Factor story. One Sunday, Leah was sitting on the couch in so much pain she was literally in tears. That's when she decided to try Relief Factor. Just 8 days later, she found relief, and she continued to get better and better. To quote her, she said, "I am truly amazed at this product. Like me, who after 9, almost 10 years, almost a decade of low back pain, lost that pain thanks to Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Get the 3-week quick starter pack at relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. It all comes with the feel better or your money back guarantee. That number, 1-800-4RELIEF, relieffactor.com.
A dog has been rescued after being trapped for more than a week inside a shipping container at a busy Texas port.
A routine day of inspecting over 10,000 shipping containers at the Port of Houston turned into something extraordinary when U.S. Coast Guard officer Ryan McMahon and his team heard barking coming from inside one of the containers. The container was lowered to the ground and opened to reveal that a sweet and friendly dog had been trapped inside for at least 8 days.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hi, this is Chad with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com. We've been buying a lot of houses lately with foundation problems. St. Louis is notorious for having issues with people's basements, whether it's settlement, water coming in, cracks, or mold from previous water being there. We buy houses in all of those types of conditions. So if you have basement problems or you're thinking about getting it fixed, please reach out. We can simplify your real estate situation and make you an as-is cash offer. KLAMEN Group.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. The weather is cold, the world is woke, and our president is a joke.
Gee, Todd, it sounds like people need something to be happy about.
You're darn right, Joey. That's why every Saturday from 5 until 6, it's The Right Mind Show.
Boy, I feel giddy.
I bet you do. That's because because we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
I want to sing.
Not now.
I'm full of joy.
Yeah, well, we're full of something, Joey.
It's the Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Sometimes I wonder, is he faithful?
In terms of the Biden administration's plans or response to what has happened?
So nothing new to report back from what Admiral John Kirby shared with all of you about an hour or so ago. What I will say, obviously our deepest condolences go out, and our heartfelt condolences go out to the families who lost three folks who are military folks, who are brave, who are always fighting, who are fighting on behalf of this administration, of the American people. Obviously, more importantly, we lost those souls, as the president said yesterday when he was in South Carolina. Our hearts go out to their families, to their friends, and let's not forget there are wounded soldier military forces as well, and our hearts go out to them.
Well, there she is, KJP, with such deep, heartfelt sympathy for the fallen and their families. I mean, it was just. I think I just cried tears, and I'm sure Rob Carter, my guest this segment, who you hear every night from 8 to 10 here on, well, not on Saturdays and Sundays, but on weekdays. You hear him on News Talk STL. How you doing, Rob? I'm sure you cried crocodile tears too, along with her, when you heard that very heartfelt sympathy, didn't you?
You can understand with all of the applicants for the press secretary why she won. She's very, very eloquent. That clip was funny. I hadn't heard it yet, but that was it was very interesting.
And I use that to, I think, really sort of display just how disimpassioned and how unserious I think this administration is about defending our country, defending our sensibilities, defending our very troops that defend us. And it's a sad time in America when you look at our foreign policy under Joe Biden, I think. How about you?
I feel the same way. I'm very cynical. You know, I talk about it all the time. I guess I was making fun of it last night, although it's not a laughing matter. But to think that we're going to war with our commander-in-chief being Joe Biden, who can't string a sentence together and nobody has any confidence in, nobody believes he really won the election with 81 million votes, but he's going to lead us into a war. Scary times, very, I don't know where the world is heading, but I just know that I don't want Joe Biden leading the way.
What do you think about the response thus far? I mean, it seems like they know exactly how many missiles they fired, 125, 85 targets. I mean, I don't recall previous retaliatory strikes describing in such detail what went on. And I'm going to ask this of Dakota Wood when we talk with him in the next segment. Do you think this is more for domestic consumption than for demonstrating our resolve to the enemy?
100%. I think I always think it's orchestrated propaganda. I think that's what's happened when they moved the Smith-Mutt Act and rescinded it into the Smith-Mutt Modernization Act. That's when the CIA could begin to propagandize its own people. And I see a coordination between the military and the government and the media to sell whatever they want to sell. It's exactly what you said. The information that comes out seems very planned and organized. I don't know if you got to see Joe Biden talking to one of the service members who passed away. It looks so organized and so staged. And when you have a government that's under fire like this one, with wide open borders and inflation through the roof and no confidence, they like to start wars and change the subject and move all the corporate news channels to war. And we have to we have to absorb it and try to figure out what's really going on. I'm one of the most cynical people when it comes to our own government. I just don't trust what's going on in there anymore. I've watched it long enough to recognize that something's not right. And any information coming from NBC News and ABC News and all these news channels, I take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think we're all eating not a grain of salt, but one of those big pink Himalayan blocks of salt with a light under it. I mean, it's the problem, Rob, and this is what troubles me more than anything. I'm afraid that there are a growing body of people in this country who, because of our educational system and the progressive movement that started in the early 1900s and really took off in the 60s and 70s, and who now lead educational so-called professional development classes and teach our teachers, that it's not a matter of, hey, we know how to do better, we're just doing the opposite because we want power. I actually think they think that this is the right way to do business, that you embrace foreigners. Your bleeding heart leads to open borders and open jails. And if we just give people who need a reckoning with their behavior, if we just give them a little more monetary support, give them a cell phone, give them a bed, take it away from kids at the community center, take it away from school. I really believe they believe that this delusionary behavior is the right way to go. That's what's frightening. And more people look at the polls. It's about 50-50 this morning on the Real Clear Average polls. Trump leads Biden by 1% in Real Clear politics. That can't be in a sane society, policy-wise. That's what
it makes you wonder. Yeah, it makes you wonder if it is all organized to be 50-50. If you look over the last 20 years since the World Trade Centers were bombed, everything's always 50-50. And if you were trying to hurt the country, and if you were trying to manipulate elections, you'd always want the perception that everything is 50-50, because then you can do whatever you want. Whatever happens, because nobody really has a sense of who's winning elections. Nobody has a sense of who's right or wrong. Everything is 50-50. And as it comes to the education system, what's interesting to me, and just this is just purely observation, it seems like the most educated people in our society, and I mean with the big degrees and so forth, often can't see the forest for the trees. It really makes me nervous as to what's going on, because it feels like a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations are really they're almost sleepwalking as to what's going on in our own country, because you basically have an invasion across the southern border, and a lot of people aren't even paying attention to it. They just go on about their lives. If they can watch football on Sunday and they have food to eat, this is just like a movie that they watch on TV. They don't recognize that bad things are happening. And I always play the clip with Donald Trump. He says, I don't necessarily think these people are bad guys. I just think they're incompetent. And I think it's a combination of the two. I think people that organize the chessboard from a corporate standpoint, they like this invasion for whatever reason, whether it's cheap labor, whether it's to expand the social safety net so they can raise money for that. Whatever the reason is, it seems it's either sinister or incompetent, and I believe it's a combination of both.
All right. Well, and I think there is definitely some talk about misinformation. They like to talk about misinformation coming from Russia about the election in 16 and again in 20, and misinformation about the virus, and misinformation about the vaccine and mask and blah, blah, blah. Well, listen to Jerome Powell gloating in the wake of the jobs report yesterday.
We've had just about 2 years now of unemployment under 4%. That hasn't happened in 50 years, so it's a good labor market. And we've seen inflation come down. We've talked about that. So we've got 6 months of good inflation data and an expectation that there's more to come. So this is a good situation. Let's be honest. This is a good economy.
Okay, so then I come across this report, Rob Carter, from Zero Hedge that says under the surface, and this has been reported, but it's been muted, and I'm sure you're aware of it, the vast majority of jobs that have been created, are filling up, they're backfilling the loss caused by, the Republicans and the Democrats in 2019 and 2020 with the virus, but they're part-time jobs. They get credited as jobs, and they're part-time jobs. And so one of the ways they're cooking the books, like, for instance, on wage growth, the number of hours, the Bureau of Labor Statistics use the average number of hours worked, and they take the pay divided by that, and they say, how much are you making per hour? Well, when the pay stays the same, but the number of hours go down, which it has in the recent reports, of course your wage growth appears normal. My point is this appears to be smoke and mirrors in the reporting on the jobs numbers. Your thoughts?
I think it's exactly as you're describing. We're on the same page. It's data manipulation. I was in business my entire career. I ran shoe businesses around the country, Skechers type of businesses. And when you're in positions of power, you have people try to solicit you all the time. And they often use data manipulation, and you can see it right out in the open. Here's a perfect example of just data manipulation. And you don't have to go very far or ask many people to recognize the economy is not great. My daughter is 17 years old. She's a straight A student. She's the most reliable person you'd ever want to know in your life. She was trying to get a job just at fast food grocery stores around the area, and it took her 4 weeks just to find a job. She must have filled out 50 applications. And I'm thinking, if you're I would think that any business would want a straight A student who's reliable and is pounding the pavement trying to get a job. It should be easy, but it wasn't easy for her. It took her 4 weeks, and I'm telling you, she must have probably 25 applications before she finally got work. That doesn't sound like an economy to me. I know when I was growing up in the 80s and I wanted to get a job at a fast food restaurant or a grocery store, I had my pick of 25 locations, and they were all trying to hire me. And here we are in 2024, and a straight A student can't get a job at a fast food restaurant. So things are not cooking, and I think that's obvious. The inflation rates and the cost of energy and food is really crushing the middle class. But again, here's where the misinformation of the media comes out, tries to tell everybody how great everything is. And then if you hate Donald Trump, which a lot of people on the left just hate him for whatever reason, they don't like him, then they can start to talk about how great the economy is, and that conversation begins. And that's where that's where the misinformation starts, is just pulling the wool over people's eyes who will buy anything. And then they begin a conversation amongst themselves, and it turns something that is obviously not true into certain people's realities. So I'm right with you. I think it's data manipulation. I think I think they use the media to fool the American people, and I think I think it works. That's what I think. I think it actually works.
There's a strange psychology going on because, you look at the consumer confidence numbers, they're crazy high. You look at the personal debt on credit cards is at record levels, $1+ trillion. And yet people are saying roughly 2/3 of America says they're living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, none of this makes sense. And the only way you can figure it is that people are just in a short soundbite, social media driven world where people's attention span is now, like a gnat's wing beating. I just don't know how they're believing, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. This is a bit of news making from Rob Carter, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go through that again, Rob. I'm hearing every time you walk in, you talk to any small business person, they tell you they can't get people to work. People sign, they apply, there's an interview, they don't show up for their first day, or they show up for one day and they leave. How does that square with your daughter's experience? Is this because she's not the right color, or she doesn't have blue hair with a nose ring, or she doesn't claim to be LGBTQA plus ampersand exclamation point? I mean, that doesn't make sense, Rob.
It's a combination of things. Because I thought about that last night, because she just got a job last night. So finally she got hired by Dairy Queen. So I let her do all of the work herself. I'm one of those, we let our kids do their thing, and then we guide them through the process. She went out and filled applications, and I said, well, where were you filling them out at? What were you doing? And she was really going for the big corporate jobs. She was going for places that she knew. She was at Dairy Queen, and she's at the corporate areas. I agree with you 100%, Randy. Almost my entire show is about the importance of small business. Small business, and if you don't know where they are, if you don't know who these small businesses are, and you're not aware of them, as a young person generally isn't, they go to what they know. She knows Publix, and she knows Schnucks, and she knows the grocery stores, whether it be because we split time between Florida and St. Louis, so she knows the big chains, and it was harder to get a job there. Had she went to a small business, I agree with you, they would have hired her up in a minute. And that's what all my small business friends say as well. I got a buddy that has 75 employees, and the government made him select certain kind of employees within the last couple of years. And he said, Rob, he goes, the problem with hiring these people that the government wants you to hire, he goes, is they're unreliable. They don't show up. They'll show up for a week, and then, I can't have people not show up for work. It destroys my business. But the biggest problem they have is just people sticking with the job and doing what they're supposed to do. And here you got somebody like my daughter who is as reliable as can be, very bright, having a tough time getting a job in the corporate environment, which is very odd to me, but that's what happened. So it doesn't appear that within the bigger scheme of business that things are easy. It just seems like the economy to me is stagnant. It seems like people are having a tough time figuring out how to manage their lives, and that trickles down into the economy and it trickles down into jobs. So whatever the media is telling us about the statistics that they like to manipulate, you can just see it with your own eyes. You can kind of feel it, that things are not good, and I don't know how they're going to get any better with this administration, and especially with all of these workers coming into our society from the southern border. These people are going to have to work at some point and take care of themselves, which only creates a problem in the job industry. So nothing to me looks like it's on solid footing.
Well, if you get a chance, go down and say hi to Rob's daughter at Dairy Queen. Give her an atta girl. All right, Rob. Well, thank you for being with us, brother. Thanks for a little weekend time.
Love
with
your
us.
show, Randy.
This is
been a fan for a long time.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll be talking. Take care. There he is, Rob Carter. You hear him every weeknight here from 8 to 10 on News Talk STL. We are News Talk STL 1019 94.1. You hear the news that you know is true from the perspective of people living the life, not telling you how to live your life, not telling you how they think you should live your life. That's what's cool about it. We'll be back in just a minute when we talk to Dakota Wood and get the latest on what's going on over in the Middle East and the response to the fatal drone attack of last week.
Three folks who are military folks, who are brave, who are always fighting, who are fighting on behalf of this administration.
Yes, let's just play a little bit of that and fade it out after the most stuttering moments of that thing as we come into Dakota, okay? Hey, I want to talk about Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles, a fantastic group that between Daniel Cusimano and Megan Dwyer, I don't know a better 1-2 punch for anything in and around the mouth. Whether it's your teeth that are bothering you, as mine did recently, they found a solution right away. Whether it's the general cleaning, whether it's some cosmetic dentistry, restorative dentistry, and now, and this, I don't know why it's come to the fore, almost every other person I talk to, somehow we talk about the tension of the political scene. We talk about, and they're like, yeah, I grind my teeth. I'm so worried over it overnight. I'm like, okay, I got a solution for that. They can take care of that and address the grinding of the teeth and the tension in your jaw and those jaw muscles. It's just a fabulous place, Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. And so if you're needing dental care, maybe you're not happy with your current dental care, please give them a look. They're concerned about you in the most genuine, educational, informative, and precision guided way. And they're concerned about your pocketbook as well. I've been a patient of Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles for years, and I'm so glad that I found them and continue to proudly endorse everything they do there. AdvancedDentistryNow.com, AdvancedDentistryNow.com, Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
Planning a move? I encourage you to call McGuire Moving. And they not only do moving, they can provide you portable storage. They'll bring a storage container to you. You fill it at your time and convenience. They'll pick it up, move it where you want it. Here's their phone number, 314-241-0600, 241-0600. Website, McGuireMoving.com, McGuireMoving.com, locally owned.
How's your health care? Insured but afraid to use it because of high copays and deductibles? You wait weeks for a few minutes with your doctor? It's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I struggle with the same issues as both patient and doc. You want to know that you're the focus, not the billing codes or faceless denial experts at insurance skyscrapers, which is why I've decided there's a better way. At Body of Health Direct Primary Care, you'll receive timely and time-rich appointments in person or virtually, whichever fits your needs and schedule, along with hundreds of free medications, transparent and truly affordable labs, and most importantly, a trusting relationship. We'll dig deep for solutions to problems and fill you with holistic coaching to minimize the need for high-powered medicine or specialty care. Now, if you need that, I'll work with specialists to streamline that journey too. And if it's prenatal care, hormonal, or sexual health that's bugging you, I'm board certified in women's health. Want a body of health? Get to know us at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
So, you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location, 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at stephspizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
On the next
Larry Connors USA. Here's a sign that Joe Biden might be getting frightened he's going to lose. He's saying, we're not enemies. We all need to come together.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Thank God for the daylight. I spent a long time in the dark. Felt good saying goodbye. Waking up to a brand new
Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
To the families who lost three folks who are military folks who are brave, who are.
Well, there's KJP in a moment of bewilderment trying to express sympathy for the loss of service members abroad. And now we've seen the response. Joining us to help unpack the insanity coming out of D.C. is Dakota Wood, Senior Research Fellow for Defense Programs at the Center for National Security at Heritage, and whom, by the way, was pivotal in the planning of the response to 9/11. He knows a little bit about responding to terror. Dakota, we're privileged to have you. Thank you, my friend.
Well, great to be with you on this Saturday morning. Thanks so much.
So I played that because it suggests the unseriousness of this administration, and maybe it was just a bumbling communications director who was not hired on merit but on identity. But I think it's a metaphor for what appears to the common bloke like me as an unserious approach to serious matters when it comes to foreign policy and our national security. The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, everybody has commented about the Biden administration being an extension of the Obama administration. So if we go back there as kind of the roots of the current policy, it's cozying up to people, right? Trying to essentially buy off other countries through economic incentives by freeing up monies that were previously frozen, trying to incentivize Iran to not pursue a nuclear program by giving it all sorts of goodies. Now, how that's interpreted in that region is weakness, right? And the ability to be manipulated. And Iran has done what Iran has done for how many decades, since it seized power in the 70s. And so all these militia groups in the Middle East wreaking all kinds of havoc. All that is at the feet of the mullahs, the ayatollahs there in Tehran. So the Biden administration has kind of continued that approach. They don't want to get tarnished with, getting involved in another war, and yet the very policy decisions they make virtually guarantee that another war will occur because there have been no negative consequences on countries like Iran or Russia or North Korea or China. And so, the result of 3 dead Americans in Jordan is a logical and a natural consequence of those policy positions and implementation.
All right. Well, okay, you served decades as a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, and you were involved in operational matters and planning and logistics and so forth. So as I understand it, well, I know from my own involvement in medical care and hospital leadership that, we would do drills for natural disasters and how would we handle it when casualties came into the ER, and we would do, simulations. And then we would do an after-action analysis. That goes on in the military, right? Okay. And we hear that they're now Okay, so I think in Afghanistan, I view what happened there was we telegraphed when we were going to do what we were going to do. We bumbled it in doing it. Now we fast forward a couple years and we telegraphed what we were going to do. Did they not learn from history, Dakota, or what?
No, it's wishful thinking, and I didn't hear the clip that you played earlier, so maybe my initial comment wasn't along the lines you're looking for. But yes, in terms of telegraphing moves, if you say we will respond and you let a week go by, and then Iran makes known that they have withdrawn all of their senior IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders from that region, and then you launch an attack. It's at night to minimize personal, individual casualties. You're hitting various facilities, so there is a material cost. But the Iranians just rebuild, the computer, or they just, ship another missile into the region. There's no strategic end game here, right? So this telegraphing, this is what I'm going to do. You have a rough idea of when that's going to occur. You see a pattern of U.S. strikes that go against physical sites, a warehouse in the desert, and we're always saying we want to minimize personnel casualties, right? So there's no human cost to Iranian leadership, right? And clearly we've only been doing this in Syria and Iraq, not against Iran itself. So there's a huge risk aversion aspect to Biden policy. There is an advanced warning aspect. And so if you were in the Middle East, how would you interpret that, right? Again, no cost, incentivizes additional aggression. You know that the Biden administration doesn't want to get involved in a war because it's all against the backdrop of the 2024 presidential election cycle. And so the White House is trying to walk this fine line by responding to public pressure, dead Americans, right, and 160 some odd attacks against U.S. forces just since October, and yet they don't want to be so aggressive that they start another war leading into the fall elections. So it's a logical consequence of this administration's approach to foreign policy that creates the very problems that presumably they want to avoid.
Talking with Dakota Wood, military analyst and security expert at the National Security Center at Heritage. Okay, so Lindsey Graham has come out and said we need to hit their infrastructure. We need to take out their oil infrastructure. And others have called. Tom Cotton, I think, has echoed similar sentiments. Is there an in-between, or is that what needs to be done? I mean, if you were the Secretary of Defense, sitting there with Blinken, nod, and Joe, and maybe the energy secretary, by the way, because we're fueling Iran's coffers by the energy policy, which increases the price of the oil they sell. What would you advise?
In dealing with crime in a city, undisciplined children in a family, any situation that is beginning to spiral out of control, mob violence going into stores and looting, ransacking shelves, these migrants coming across the border and going into shelters in New York City, attacking police and being released, without bond, and insulting all the Americans around them, right? So you can see a pattern of activities and lack of response that generate this larger problem. So in this, is there a middle ground between all-out war and doing nothing? Oftentimes there can be if you do it early enough. But when you let a problem get so severe, then the response to that has to be at the higher end. So going back to the Iranian issue, in the mind of Iran, if the costs are not severe enough to change behavior, then their behavior will not change. So deterrence only works. I mean, it only deters if in the mind of the person to be deterred, the consequences of their actions are going to be so bad that they decide not to act. So this whole idea of deterrence and conducting a counterstrike in response to these Iranian militia groups hitting Americans, if those counterstrikes aren't severe enough, then those groups are not deterred. And I hope that doesn't sound circular in its logic, right? That it gets us to a point where aggression in the Middle East has become so bad, like Hamas massacring 1,200 Israelis, that the counter response to that has to be severe. It has to impose punishment. And that has not occurred in any way with Iran specifically, not economically, not diplomatically, and certainly not kinetically through a military strike.
So you could see a multi-pronged approach if he had a cabinet that was allowed to think, and if he listened to them and was a true CEO that put together multi-tier response, as Lloyd Austin said, but not simply kinetic, but economic and diplomatic and other things. And I guess what you're saying is it goes back to what you said earlier. Had there been a meaningful strike, maybe even the same targets, I ask, without announcement on Monday morning,
right,
and maybe take out a few leaders like Trump took out Soleimani, and suddenly they stood down. Iranians stood down for the rest of the Trump administration, right? I mean, because he took out the head of the snake.
Yeah, absolutely. To wait a week following, after the attacks of Americans in Jordan there, it implies that we didn't know where things were at. So what has the administration been doing for 3 years? And all these militia groups running all over the place in Syria and West Bank and Gaza and Western Iraq, et cetera, right? I mean, don't we know where these places are? Well, clearly we do. We have air assets in the region. You have carrier-based aircraft, you have ships with missiles, you have Air Force bases in Turkey and Qatar and Oman and elsewhere. And so you could be launching a strike at any time if you were postured to do that. So to wait a week, it could only have been because of political calculation. What are the risks of doing X, Y, Z? And so if you're going to go after only 7 installations in that region and hit various buildings in those installations, which is how you get the target count up to 85, 125 weapons has reportedly been used, just isn't that much given our inventory, right? So this delay, the minimal size of the actual attack profile, doing it in the dead of night to minimize, the human toll, actually killing Iranian-backed terrorists, right? It leads to this perception of hesitancy, risk aversion, an unwillingness to really protect American interests in the region, primarily American lives, but economic and diplomatic interests as well. And so, again, if you're Russia or China or Iran, you're going to view this as a hobbled, weak, uncertain Biden administration that is still going to be in office for nearly another year.
I saw one analyst as you were in the break here before you came on that said this was nothing more than a fireworks display in the desert, implying this is really for domestic consumption. And that is a scathing indictment on Joe Biden's foreign and military policy.
Hamas attacks into Israel were in broad daylight, right? They had several hundred, if not into the few thousand, that went into these settler compounds, music festivals, and just absolutely massacred people. Horrific, but look at the message that sent, right? I mean, the impact that had on the country of Israel. So for us to, strike targets at 2 o'clock in the morning instead of in daylight, when you have activity going on, you've got military units moving around, people in chow halls, those sorts of things. If you had acted immediately after the attacks on Americans in Jordan, you would have caught the Iranian commanders and their senior military people flat-footed in those regions. Instead, you give them a weekend to go back, to their home country. And now what are you hitting? Well, it's just the foot soldiers and not even many of those, right? So in the Middle East, military power actually means something. Getting smacked in the face really hard in kind of a crude way actually means something. Economic, sanctions, are you kidding me? Putting people on blacklists so they have to come across the U.S.-Mexico border instead of through New York LaGuardia. It's just all meaningless. And so this, desert fireworks comment is probably pretty accurate in terms of how it's viewed in the region.
And I know it's not really a probably appropriate question to ask of a service member, a retired service member, a veteran. But is there any blame to be laid at the foot of either leadership there in the desert at that installation, Tower 22, or frontline people that confused an incoming American drone with the drone that ended up in the fatalities and the injuries? Is there something to be learned there? Is that just the reality of this kind of a situation?
Yeah, it's kind of a reality. I mean, even when you're in a very dangerous situation, like either in Syria, where we've got about 850 Americans operating against Islamic State and other groups, or in supporting areas like Western Iraq or in Jordan that provide logistical support, fire support, those sorts of things. Even there, you can't stay at 100% alertness all the time. It's physically, impossible for mental acuity and, physical stamina and those sorts of things. So you do have these periods where not a lot is going on and you can get complacent. And then you add in whatever the rules of engagement are. You can return fire if you are fired upon, as opposed to going out and looking for, the bad guys. Do you have multiple signals coming in? Now, you would think that American unmanned drones would have IFF, identification friend or foe, some kind of signal that's squawking that says I'm a good guy, as opposed to an Iranian drone, which wouldn't have those systems. So we don't know what happened that allowed that drone to get into that facility there at Tower 22. It was targeted appropriately to affect maximum damage, in a house or a building where people were sleeping and all that stuff. And so it reminds folks that you have to be on maximum alert. And that's just the reality. My son is a young Marine in a Marine Corps Infantry Battalion, and they'll be deploying later this spring into that region. And so we're always talking about being serious in your training, having fun while you're with your squad mates and all that stuff. But this kind of world doesn't forgive mistakes, right? And so it's something that the administration apparently doesn't realize. I'm sure that U.S. Central Command and the military commanders are going through the lists of what response options are, but they can't act unilaterally. They have to provide options to the administration, and then they say yes or no to whatever that option might be.
Yeah, what I heard there clearly was it's more of the risk-averse environment where we'd rather sacrifice Americans potentially and commit an error of omission in terms of being aggressive. When there's two drones coming in, it's like, maybe we take them both out, maybe whatever, rather than, we don't want to make a mistake. And look what happens, rather than, hey, we'll take the heat if we make a mistake. And then in one case, take out a civilian if that's what it means. In the other case, take out our own drone if that's what it means. Okay, I hear you. I got it clearly. Boy, man, this is rich stuff. Thank you, Dakota. Thanks for all your time and expertise. You're the best. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. Dakota Wood, Heritage Foundation, heritage.org. When we come back, your thoughts on that conversation, and should that be a driving force issue-wise in the upcoming election? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019 as we wrap it up here on the Tobler Show on a Saturday morning.
I bet you like your new name. Oh, welcome to the kingdom.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Retirement planning used to be easy. You put in your 40 years with the company, get the gold watch, and life's good, right? Wrong. Randy Tobler here. Planning for retirement today involves balancing critical decisions regarding your investments, pensions, Social Security, and more. That's why I'm urging you to start planning now. It's also why you should connect with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. They bring a combined 100 years of wealth management experience to help you with your retirement plan. You can hear Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 during On the Money here on News Talk STL 1019. Their team is ready to help you design your retirement plan with the care and commitment you deserve. Request your complimentary retirement plan consultation today at clearpathinvesting.com or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
You wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer. Oh, no, 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 no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning, the cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Good morning, everybody. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to the Randy Tobler Show here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us every weekday at 2 p.m. for Colombo and Katie.
Also, keep it here for my Saturday morning show, the Bluff City Outdoor Show, today at 11. Now, back to Dr. Randy Tobler. Love you, Doc.
Love you too, Katie and Tony. And boy, I love that show. Love to be on with them every Thursday afternoon. Good to be back on. I do a little bit with Tim and Chris on Tuesday afternoons as well. It's a big, happy family here on News Talk STL. Glad you're a part of the family. Feels good, doesn't it? As we head into a very pivotal election season, the current polls suggesting maybe things are a little tighter with Biden versus Trump. Trump still a little bit ahead in most polls. Real Clear Politics average is about 1.8% for Trump. A little better if you look at some of the breakouts in the various states. Georgia, Trump is doing well. Others are a little closer. You throw it into, though you throw a third party into the mix, and he doesn't do as well. By the same token, Nikki Haley does very, very well versus Biden on a head-to-head, better than with Trump versus Biden head-to-head, at least in the Quinnipiac poll, which doesn't do well for Biden at all, or for Trump at all. I think it's going to hinge. I think this election may hinge less on Trump and Biden than it does on Donald Trump, assuming he is the nominee. It's pretty clear he will be. And if you look at foreign policy alone, he should be in the Oval Office like today. No, make that Sunday when this happened. No, make that October 8th. I mean, none of this carnage in the Red Sea with the Houthis. I don't believe any of this would have happened if Donald Trump would have been in office, because they know that he's unpredictable, which sometimes a bad thing for him, but mostly a good thing. When it comes to foreign policy, it's a great thing. He's unpredictable. He acts swiftly and quickly and severely and gets the heck out of there, like he did in Syria. Remember, he went and sent in strikes in Syria. That kind of an activity and that kind of a kinetic mindset is a great thing in this world, as Dakota Wood said, is just absolutely. These people are unhinged in the Middle East. They're absolutely. They only know power, violence, and really nothing else, right? The exertion of it. They don't really. Diplomacy is really a second or tertiary way of doing business in their mind. So, and Trump recognizes that. So, from a foreign policy perspective, that's important. But as it relates to the election, there are other issues on people's minds, right? For the blue side, it's climate change and abortion. For the red side, yeah, foreign policy, borders, and economy, yes. But it seems as though the center right part of the electorate, I don't think that many of you nor I think that this economy is in great shape. We talked about it earlier with Rob Carter. And if you didn't get a chance to hear it, Jerome will have the podcast up later today, right?
Oh, yeah. Just give me until around noon and I'll have all of that for you.
We talked about it. I mean, this Zero Hedge report on the economy and on the jobs numbers shows how they've been cooking the books. The BLS is cooking the books to make it look very, very good. All the jobs are created. A lot of part-time jobs. And on an hourly basis, you generally pay more for a part-time worker than you do a full-time worker. So, of course, wages appear to be going up. Why is consumer debt going up? Why are the percentage of Americans living paycheck to paycheck going up? Something is fundamentally wrong in the core foundational aspects of our economy. Not the macro numbers, but the numbers you and I live every day. I continue to be astounded. There's a new Japanese place down the street that opened up that I wanted to try out some of their hibachi thing, a little tuna, a little seaweed, a little cucumber, I don't like the rice. I said, leave out the rice, please. They just opened up 6 months ago. I wanted to help them out. Great food. $8.50 for it was nice. It was good. I'm not complaining, but 2 years ago that would have maybe been $5.50, $6.50, maybe $7. I don't know. You go to the store, you try to buy a bag of goods, it's ridiculous. So we're feeling it. They're transmitting another thing. I fear that without the right, and I'm not sure what the right, but the right vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump is, that I think that abortion issue is so strong, it might outweigh an economy that by cooking the books and owning the media that a lot of people listen to, NPR and others, that might dwarf in the minds of the independent voters who will make the difference. I'm just afraid that abortion issue may just dwarf the others. And if Joe gets enough of a wartime president without starting a war, but being involved in defending America, because if you saw that old movie Wag the Dog, where they started a war to sort of create that wartime president, I don't know. We got to have a vice presidential. What are the components of the right vice presidential nominee for Trump to pick? I think someone maybe a little more moderated and measured in their communication. I don't think we need another Trump Jr. I think Ramaswamy would be a huge mistake. I think someone like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe even a Carrie Lake, would be a huge mistake. It's got to be someone that can appeal to that center right, who is capable of voting for a Trump on the issues, even though they don't like his character, and can maybe see a future 8 years of similar policies, different communication style. I think that's the secret sauce. Jerome, what do you think? Think that's important or not?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think that a lot of people don't really consider how important a strong and effective and supportive vice president is. Everybody just thinks of the president themselves, and I think that's the wrong way of looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, and we've got such a feckless, weak pair in the Oval Office now between Joe Biden, who all he can remember is what kind of ice cream he eats, to Kamala Harris, who can't string a bunch of words together without it looking like your favorite salad at your local eatery. I mean, it's word salad every time she speaks. But she's already beaten that drum of abortion. That is going to be a powerful issue. And we cannot bully our way. Those of us who are pro-life can't say, we can't demean those people. We can't demonize them. We can't say you're immoral jerks and killers, baby killers. That's not going to win the day with the voters. It's not going to do it. I'm sorry. That's just the reality. Got to find a way to do better. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of the Tobler Show. We'll look forward to that vote on the Mayorkas impeachment, more retaliation against the lethal drone attacks, and other unpredictable goings-on. See you next week. Thanks for being here.
With a glory in his bosom that transfigures you.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
I voted for Trump.
I voted for Nikki Haley.
I want to thank everybody. And just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win.
101.9 and 94.1.
Far from over.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call